व्यासं तपीराय नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे अंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण. So it is mm, uh, I'm sorry, it is chapter sorry canto 1 chapter 4 text 21. um, So text 21. After the Vedas were divided into 4 divisions, uh, Paila Rishi became the professor of Rigveda, Jaimini the professor of Samaveda, and Vaisampana alone become glorified by the Yajurveda. Text 22. The Sumantu Muni Angira, who was very devotedly engaged, was entrusted with the Atharva Veda, and my father Romaharsana was entrusted with the Puranas and historical records. Romaharsana, father of Srila Shuta Goswami. Uh, Text 23. All these learned scholars in their turn rendered their entrusted Vedas unto their many disciples, grand disciples, and great grand disciples, and thus the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into being. Text 24. Thus the great sage Vyasadeva, who is very kind to the ignorant masses, edited the Vedas so they might be assimilated by less intellectual men. Text 25. Out of compassion, the great sage thought it wise that it would enable men to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus, he compiled the great historical narration called Mahabharata for women, laborers, and friends of the twice born. Uh, Text 26. O twice born Brahmanas, still his mind was not satisfied, although he engaged himself in working for the total welfare of all people. Text 27. Thus, the sage, being dissatisfied at heart, at once began to reflect, because he knew the essence of religion, and he said within himself. Text 28 and 29. I have under strict disciplinary vows unpretentiously worshipped the Vedas, the spiritual masters, and the altar of sacrifice. I have also abided by the ruling and have shown the import of disciplic succession through the explanation of the Mahabharata, by which even women, Sudras, and others, the friends of the twice born, can see the path of religion. Text 30. I am feeling incomplete, though I myself am fully equipped with everything required by the Vedas. Text 31. This may be because I did not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord, which is dear both to perfect beings and to the infallible Lord. Text 32. As mentioned before, Narada reached the cottage of Krishna Daipayana Vyasa on the banks of the Saraswati, just as Vyasadeva was regretting his defects. Text 33. At the auspicious arrival of Sri Narada, Sri Vyasadeva got up respectfully and worshipped him, giving him veneration equal to that given to Brahmaji, the creator. So, I supposed to, according to the list, Prabhuji, I supposed to read uh, the, the first 10 texts, right?
Yes, Mother, yeah.
Chapter 5, Narada's instruction on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva. Text 1. Suta Goswami said, thus the sage amongst the gods, Narada, comfortably seated and apparently smiling, addressed the Rishi amongst the Brahmanas, Veda Vyasa. Text 2, addressing Vyasadeva, the son of Parashara, Narad inquired, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or mind as objects of self-realization? Text 3, your inquiries were full and your studies were also well fulfilled, and there is no doubt that you have prepared a great and wonderful work, the Mahabharata, which is full of all kinds of Vedic sequences elaborately explained. Text 4, you have fully delineated the subject of impersonal Brahman as well as the knowledge derived therefrom. Why should you be despondent in spite of all this, thinking that you are undone, my dear Prabhu? Text 5, Sri Vyasadeva said, all you have said about me is perfectly correct. Despite all this, I am not pacified. I therefore question you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction. For you are a man of unlimited knowledge due to your being the offspring of one Brahma who is self born without mundane father and mother. The text 6, my lord, everything that is mysterious is known to you because you worship the creator and destroyer of the material world and the maintainer of the spiritual world, the original personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to the three modes of the material nature. Text 7, like the sun, your goodness can travel everywhere in the three worlds, and like the air, you can penetrate the internal region of everyone. As such, you are as good as the all pervasive super soul. Please therefore find out the deficiency in me, despite my being absorbed in the transcendence under disciplinary regulation and vows. Text 8. Sri Narada said, you have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless. Text 9. Although great sage, you have very broadly described the four principles beginning with the religious performances. You have not described the glories of the Supreme Personality Vasudeva. Text 10, those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all perfect persons are inhabitant of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I supposed to stop here.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
thank you so much, Mate. Hare Krishna. So you can stop the sharing also, Mate. That's thank you. Okay, so we are in this. We're in this was text chapter 4, and we're starting with chapter 4 today, where Narada Muni's appearance is the title of the chapter. We heard if you remember, the in the first chapter, the 6 questions were placed by the sages of Namisaranya, and then Sutta Goswami answered those questions in the first 3 chapters. And in the fourth chapter beginning, Sonu placed some more questions. Those questions are in 3 broad categories we discussed. One is activities of Srila Vyasadeva, and how what are the circumstances under which the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken and was written by Vyasadeva like that. Not spoken by, was written by Vyasadeva like that. That is the first set of broad questions, and that is what is being discussed right now, from this chapter all the way, till about seventh chapter of this canto, first canto. And then 2 other broad questions will be discussed from the seventh chapter onwards, which are activities of Parishad Maharaj, birth and activities of Parishad Maharaj, and also how Sukdev Goswami met Parishad Maharaj, and how he started speaking Bhagavatam, that circumstances under which the Bhagavatam was spoken. Basically, activities related to Sukdev Goswami before Bhagavatam started, like that. So the 3 broad sections. Now we're going to the answer that is describing is about activities of Vyasadeva, and specifically the circumstances under which Vyasadeva wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. So in that context, we are in first canto, fourth chapter, 20th verse, 21st verse onwards today. So the previous verses, yeah, just before this verse, Vyasadeva's compassion has been described. How? Because he had transcendental vision, he could see as the Kali Yuga progresses, people will have lower and lower qualities, different kinds of disqualifications rather are described. One is will have lesser lifetime, and we already had so many bad qualities related to Kali Yuga influence on people in Kali Yuga in the previous chapters. So little bit of elaboration is given. Less intelligence will be there like that, and then less memory will be there like that. Also were described in this recent verses. So because of that, Vasudeva is considering what is the best thing he can do to help the souls in the Kali Yuga, all of us like that. So that's where we were going. Text 19 was saying that Vasudeva, to simplify the process, he divided one Veda into 4, like that is described. Now text 20. Yeah, text 20 also described that Puranas and Puranas like Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Itihasas like Mahabharata and Sri Valmiki Ramayana are the 5th Veda, like that is described. Now coming to the 21st verse, that is the starting verse for today. So this is still out of Vyasadeva compassion. What did you do? That is the section. So after dividing the Vedas into 4 divisions, he gave different Vedas to different professors or different rishis like that. Paila Rishi, Jaimini Rishi, Vaishampayana Rishi, and Sumantu Muni, Angira. They are all described as recipients of these Vedas. And also Romarshan Sutta is described as a recipient of Puranas and Itihasas like that. So the purpose of giving these to different disciples was so that they can further break into different branches of Vedic knowledge and distribute it like that. Burjan Prabhu describes in his study guide that they actually divided them into all the 4 Vedas are divided into 1,130 branches, it seems. And it's described that only about 6% of those whole Vedic literature is there today, right now, in Kali Yuga. And the two in original Sanskrit. not Puranic Sanskrit, but the Vedic Sanskrit. So, so now that is a text up to text 22. That is what is being described. Now text 23, mm, yeah, is describing how the followers of the Vedas distributed knowledge. Srila Prabhupada makes one point in the purport that says Vedas are root of all knowledge, both spiritual and material also. Originally, that is the only body of knowledge. So everything sprung from there like that, it describes. Now text 24. So he is describing how Vedavasa, he divided all the Vedas, and so they might be assimilated by less intellectual men, like that the verse is saying. So now, interestingly, Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport on this verse, because the verse is talking about less intellectual men. So, so Prabhupada makes something nice. One is that Vedas originally were to be read and learned by Brahmanas only. But some people take it as a wrong way. Oh, see, only Brahmana caste people are allowed to read the Vedas. Others are not allowed to read Vedas. That is wrong like that. So they'll feel bad like that. And another section of Brahmanas will become proud. Oh, see, we are only entitled to read Vedic scriptures. The point is not based on the caste where a person is born, but based on the qualities. Because people with a mode of goodness more are considered Brahmanas, we know. Predominantly mode of goodness, primarily mode of goodness people are considered as Brahmanas based on guna and karma, right? Guna is modes in this case. So people with predominantly mode of goodness, they can understand the subject matter Vedas, number one. Number two, ultimate goal of Vedic knowledge is Sri Krishna, personality of Godhead. So that personality, Krishna, is very easily understood by those in mode of goodness and very hardly understood by those in passion and ignorance. There is a reason for that stricture that people in the mode of goodness are essentially Brahmanas are to read the Vedas like that. That Prabhupada nicely explains in the purport. So then, how is this connected to the less intelligent people in the verse? Basically, the people, general people, are in modes of passion and ignorance in Kali Yuga. Very few are in mode of goodness. Those are Brahmanas like that. So for those people, since it's very hard to access the highest essence or ultimate good, that's why he expanded the Vedas further, or divided the Vedas further into Itihasas and Puranas that will coming up in the next set of verses. So next 25th verse says, out of great compassion uh, for them, for the people in general to achieve the ultimate goal of life, he compiled Mahabharata for women, laborers, and friends of the twice born. This is also another beautiful purport where Prabhupada is describing who are the twice born uh, Dvijas, and who are more importantly, who are the friends of the twice born, or Dvija Bandhu. That is what he's explaining. So the point here is that twice born, generally we refer to them as Brahmanas, but in this purport, Prabhupada is clarifying all the three higher castes, that is Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishyas, they undergo the second spiritual initiation also. Okay, so these higher castes, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishnava, Vaishyas, what do? They undergo different samskaras even from before the birth, starting with Garbhadana samskara before conceiving the child, and then after the birth of the child also they go through different samskaras like that. Mm, so that is one aspect. So that is what, because they're undergoing some the different samskaras which are meant for purification progressively, they are called dvijas. And when are they called dvijas? When they get the spiritual initiation from the spiritual master, where the secretary is also, the thread is also offered to the disciple. So if somebody has not even, if the parents of somebody doesn't even did the Garbhadan samskara and did not do other samskaras, then they're not even qualified to be called as a real dvijas actually. That's why in majority of the people don't even perform Garbhadan samskara in Kali Yuga. So that means most of us are dvija bandhus. That means friends of the twice born like that. That's what one Prabhupada describes. Now, um, yeah. Then he also describes why is then Sudras and women are also put in the same category as a Dvijabandhus? Because uh, like how Dvijabandhus Prabhupada described how if the proper samskaras are not done right from before birth and after birth, then they're not purified enough. So they're less intelligent compared to the people who have undergone the purification sacrifices or purificatory activities, samskaras, right even before birth also. So that's important principle. Less intelligent is a relative term compared to people who have gone taken birth with Garbhadana Samskara and undergone some different purifications like that. So because the women in the Vedic society and the Sudras in Vedic society do not undergo those purification ceremonies, except for the what is it called marriage ceremony. Except for the marriage ceremony, other samskaras they don't go through. That is where they're put in their less intelligent class naturally. So we also hear from Prabhupada likes this Garbhadhan Samskara so much, and so many purports he talks about it. Basically, before the child is conceived, if Garbhadhan Samskara is done by the parents, then they can attract a wonderful soul who can accept devotional service, who can progress in devotional service nicely like that. So naturally, such a soul will have a higher intelligence also. That's what Prabhupada is describing here in the purport. Now going to the next point. So then, why did he write Mahabharata for less intelligent people? The point is that these less intelligent people, they're very interested in stories more than philosophy. So that's why to attract them, he wrote Mahabharata. So that way he can give nice storyline and a nice political intrigue and everything. But then he placed right in that middle the essence of whole Vedic literature, Bhagavad Gita, directly in that. So the ultimate goal of Vedas is still given to those people. Even in the story form, it starts like that. So that is the point being described in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. So now going to the 26th verse. Uh, So even though Vyasdeva divided all the Vedas for the benefit of Kali Yuga people, and also Vyasdeva wrote Mahabharata for less intelligent people, Dvijabandhus, Sudras, and women, but then still his not mind was not satisfied. Although he engaged in the total welfare work of all people like that. So the point here made is uh, he is not satisfied even though he tried to do welfare activity for people. We'll find out what is the reason behind it. So next, so this section is describing the despondency of Vyasdeva. So now next verse says, he's dissatisfied at heart. Vyasdeva is dissatisfied at heart, and it hence began to reflect because he already knows the essence of religion. So, so when we had to reflect, when you have to reflect, why I'm not getting satisfied, you should go beyond the matter. That's what Prabhupada writes in the purport, and go to the spiritual areas. Beyond matter means not thinking about, oh, because my boss is not good, that's why I'm not satisfied. Oh, because my wife is not good, my husband is not cooperating with me, that's why I'm not good. These are all material levels. We have to go to really spiritual level to find the source of dissatisfaction. That's point highlights in the purport. Now, 20th and 29th verse, Vyasdeva is describing he's undergone rigorous discipline and followed rigorous vows, and he studied the Vedas, and he respected the spiritual master, worshipped the spiritual master, and the fire sacrifice also. So still he is not satisfied. That's the point being described here. Now, in the next verse, 30th verse, is described Vyasdeva is not only feeling dissatisfied, is also feeling empty or incomplete. Some feeling of incompleteness is still there in him. He says, though I am myself am fully equipped with everything required by the Vedas. So now, Burjan Prabhu writes in the one Burjan write Burjan Prabhu writes in this context that even though we've been describing that Vasudeva is dissatisfied, Vasudeva is feeling empty, Vasudeva feeling incomplete in the heart because of not doing this, that'll come out. Actually, Lord Krishna induced that in Srila Vyasudeva. So that way, Srimad Bhagavatam can come out for us, for our benefit like that. That is the important point to remember. Otherwise, Vyasudeva is a literal incarnation of Krishna himself. So that's a clarification Burjan Prabhu describes. Now going to the purport of 30th verse. Um, so by studying the Vedic literature, by doing the prescribed activities given in the Vedas, one can get purified for sure. But ultimate achievement one cannot get. Ultimate achievement cannot be uh, unless ultimate achievement is attained. The living being cannot be situated in transcendental normal stage, like that purport is writes. Of course, the ultimate stage is being situated in devotion service. Prabhupada doesn't spell it out here yet. It's coming up in next verses. 31st verse, Vasudeva tries to reflect what is the reason behind my despondency, my dissatisfaction, my emptiness, or my incompleteness, like that. He comes up with one answer. It's described, he got this answer in his mind just because his spiritual master Narada Muni arrived at right that time. He didn't talk to him yet. Just because he arrived at spot, he got the answer already. That is the beauty of mercy of spiritual master. So he says, because I did not specifically point out bhakti or devotional service of the Lord, which is dear to both perfected beings and also to infallible Lord. So Sri Prabhupada writes in the purport, unless we are situated in the constitutional service, normal condition of our service, devotion service to the Lord, neither we can be satisfied nor Krishna can be satisfied, like that. What does it mean? That means we cannot please Krishna with anything else other than devotion service. That's how we need to take. Not that Krishna is dissatisfied always because we are not doing devotion service. That's not the point. Point is, Krishna can be satisfied and pleased only by devotion service, not by anything else. And we also can be satisfied only with devotion service. So now, text 32, Narada Muni reached at the banks of Saraswati, uh, and just as Vasudeva was regretting his defects, he said. So, okay, now this purport highlights the point that, the point I was discussing, how Lord Krishna inspired this in Vasudeva's heart to feel this emptiness, to feel this incompleteness, like that. That's one aspect. Second level, we need to take it as because he did not glorify devotional service yet. That's why he was feeling despondency also. Now, the last verse for this chapter, when Narada Muni, the spiritual master, arrived, Vasudeva respectfully got up and then worshipped him and giving him respect equal to that as Brahmaji. So in this purport, Prabhupada makes 2 points. One is, why is he respecting equal to Brahmaji? Because Narada Muni is representative of Brahma. That way, he is respecting as good as Brahma, like that, has come like that. Number one. Number two, he makes the second point that those representatives who are coming in disciplic succession, acharyas or gurus in the disciplic succession, they also should be respected similarly, like that, because they're coming. That's why we do Vyasa Puja ceremony. That means respect somebody as good as they, like that. That's the other point Prabhupada makes in purport. Now going to the fifth chapter. Fifth chapter, Sutta Goswami describes that after hearing this, after being received by Vasudeva, Narada Muni started to speak with a gentle smile. Smile because he already knows the cause of despondency of Vasudeva, like that. So he started with a question, like he giving a hint. Are you satisfied by identifying with body or the mind as object of self-realization? That's how he started. Prabhupada writes in the purport that we cannot be happy and cheerful if we are in bodily conception of life, or if we think ourselves as mind also. So now text 3, he says your inquiries, you actually did full inquiries into Brahman. You also did studied very nicely about Brahmajyoti and all different aspects of Brahmajyoti. And you also compiled Mahabharata. Like that is appreciating first, Narada Muni. Then he says, you have fully explained the Brahman and Brahmajyoti and how to acquire Brahman with your Vedanta Sutra. You explained nicely also. That is impersonal aspect only about Krishna. Then text 5 says, now Vasudeva responds to them, saying, yes, you are correct. I did all these things, great things that you described. But still I'm having dissatisfaction. And you are a man of unlimited knowledge. You're born of Brahmaji who doesn't have father and mother also. So please tell me like that. Please tell me the root cause of my despondency, like that. So the important point to note is we might have a lot of knowledge. lot of information, doesn't matter. We may not be able to solve our own problem, like Arjuna's situation in Bhagavad Gita. So we need to approach a spiritual master when we are in a perplexed situation to solve the confusion for us like that. That's an important lesson for us. Now, text 6, Vasudeva is saying everything is mysterious, is known to you because you worship Krishna. Because you worship Supreme Lord, everything is known to you. In the purport, Prabhupada clarifies that not only Krishna inspires them with knowledge to spiritual master, actually devotees also get the 8 kinds of mystic perfections also is described. So that's the point Prabhupada makes in the purport. Because he is a worshipper of Supreme Lord. That is an important point. Now going to text 7, Vasudeva is saying, you're as good as super soul. Like sun, you can go everywhere. Like air, you can reach every spot that cannot be reached ordinarily, like by solids or liquids like that. So you can definitely find out deficiency in me, despite my being absorbed in transcendence like that. So that's the point made. Now text 8, Narmani starts to respond back to Vyasdeva. This is beautiful. He says, you are not directly. He doesn't have to think for some time and answer. He directly answers. You not 2 points he means. One is you not sufficiently broadcasted the glories of Krishna and devotion service. Number 1 point. And uh, and and he says philosophy does not satisfy transcendence of Lord if it is not glorifying bhakti like that. And the next verse, he says that now Vyasdeva might say, why are you saying that? I described in Padma Purana about bhakti. I described in Padma Purana about Supreme Lord already. Then he's saying, you not sufficiently glorified Krishna in relation to other topics. You glorified the other Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. You glorified them so much that you do this, you'll get this. You do this, you'll get this. You glorified that so much. But equal importance or higher importance is not given to glories of Krishna or glories of Bhakti like that. That's why that is why you are despondent like that. Directly he addresses the point here. So um, so it's important for us to engage in devotional service to be satisfied. Otherwise, we will not be satisfied with any other processes like that. By glorifying Krishna and by engaging in bhakti, we can be satisfied. Now, going to the last verse for today, text 10, he describes the material things. Like if somebody, all the material topics that people talk about that do not describe glories of Lord, they're like a place of pilgrimage for crows, is described. That means place of pilgrimage for crows means is like a trash, basically. Crows, who are crows? Materialistic people who are fruity, who are after fruitive enjoyment, they are considered like crows. And the materialistic subject matter which doesn't have anything about Bhakti or Krishna is considered like trash like that. So saintly persons who are like swans, they don't go to like how swans go to clean places, clean reservoir of water. They don't go to trash places like crows. Similarly, saintly persons don't want to read the mundane literature like that. That is devoid of glories of Krishna, like that is described. And why they're compared to swans? Because saintly persons are focused on spiritual elevation and spiritual situating on spiritual platform like that. Whereas fruity workers are focused on more and more sense gratification. How to get more sense gratification, more sense enjoyment like that. So that's why they are both compared like that. Materialist or fruity workers are compared to crows, and saintly persons as compared to swans. And material subject matter is not interesting to the saintly personalities like that. Then then remember, swan has a quality of if water and milk are mixtured, swan has a quality to take out milk only and leave away water. Similarly, saintly persons ignore or reject the material mundane literature but study the spiritual literature. That is the highlight of this verse. We'll pause here. We'll continue again tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to all the devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kupasundubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Krishna
Thank you very
Prabhupada.
much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sundari